We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
Welcome, guys. Red morning. If you're watching this, it's Saturday morning, and we pre-recorded. Special guest today. You guys are going to love this. So, you know how you guys look at me and you keep calling me the coach and the couch or whatever? Well, this guy was my couch. This is Yui McGill. Say, I don't know what should I just call you by the Reddit name, or do you have a name you'd rather be using?
Yeah, no, just call me McGill.
All right.
McGill.
A give these guys a heads up if they don't know. Actually, how did you get that name? How did you get that name? Yeah.
Yui McGill is the head character in probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? And the movie itself is kind of loosely based on the travels of Ulysses and Odyssey. Yeah. So I've always felt like, I'm just kind of a lost traveler and trying to find my way through life. So I thought it was a good name.
That's a good one. I mean, it's no Family Alpha, but what is really?
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah. So I've been giving him a heads up. If you guys don't know, he doesn't really go to the subreddit anymore. He never touches the YouTube stuff, so he's completely out of the loop on any of the stuff we've talked about here. But except for my channel, for the most part, I'm just giving guys like breakdowns of No More Mr. Nice Guy, like all the sidebar stuff, as well as I'm going through all the Jack 10 of Hearts posts, all 300,000 words of them. So it'll be good. Then next step is starting to get the big posts from, I guess, because you were telling me you're like one of the top 3. There was like Isolos was the first guy to start the subreddit, and then Ford Contour, and then you, right?
That's it. That was it.
So
yeah, and I think I messaged Isolos probably maybe 6 or 8 months after it. I said, hey, I'm not getting really 100% what I need from the red pill stuff because those guys are all, don't get married, don't ever get married. If you got married, you're already fucked. But I like what you're doing here, and I'd like to contribute. Oh. And I do it for my own personal reasons. If I can't work this shit out in the open, I don't know how I can work it out personally. So I use it as a learning tool.
That's honestly, you'd be surprised how interesting an approach that is, because most guys hide stuff. Like I have to set up private stuff for people to talk about things. They'd rather set up a $500 phone call than just come on and give like $1 super chat to go see things. Guys are very, I almost want to say it's a shame thing, which I guess you're familiar with. Oh yeah, another thing, if you guys don't know, there is a No More Mr. Nice Guy subreddit as well, where they work through the break-and free exercises, and you run that. And I don't know if you started that or if you took it from somebody who wasn't using it, but
I took it. Somebody abandoned it, and I'm very clear about why I took it. The whole red pill genre under the rest of Reddit is under pretty constant attack, and I figured at least it would be someplace that we could probably go if the shit hit the fan with other places. So and the guys that come there, I'm pretty clear about it. Hey, we're red pill adjacent. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, and we have all the same rules. If you don't like them, you can go fuck off. I've had to kick quite a few incels off, and the retard level is definitely way higher with No More Mr. Nice Guy. So,
oh, you'll fit in just fine in these parts.
Yeah,
we love our artards. We always use them for like examples. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Because Wine More Please was just like, he's on Twitter now. He kind of followed me. I brought him on the show once or twice. Rule Zero Dad and that. So he's coming on Twitter, and he's made himself a Substack where he blogged all of his old posts before he got booted off of Reddit a second time. And this latest one here was some Asian guy like using a whole bunch of words to say nothing. And you know him. Like the one thing that gets him is those like Asian woe is me MGTOW types, and he just went off on him. I was like, I can't repeat it.
I gotta get that guy. I know more Mr. Nice Guy, because those guys, they circle into just oblivion of, I don't know. You got to really just smack them really quick and be like, hey man, you're welcome to be here. You're welcome to work on this shit. But if you want us to sit here and be your pity party and all that, you need to get the fuck out. And he was always so good at just really cutting through the bullshit and being like, Yeah, you're full of shit.
Dude, that was my favorite. That was my best part about all that stuff. But I mean, it's not that he just was a tough guy. It's because he went. I remember. Do you remember his old story back when he was doing pickup in Australia? And he had to work through a lot of that stuff because he was like the funny Asian guy in the group, and then he finally got his mind right. And ever since then, he's like, I'm never going back to that. That was the part that always got me about his.
I don't. It's been how many years on Reddit?
Like
So
7 years.
And he had two other handles, right?
Well, what was the other ones? I only know about Wine More Please and Weak and Sensitive.
Yeah, Weak and Sensitive. I'm trying to think what the other one was. I don't know, but yeah, I just really appreciate and as a general statement, I always try to like look at what's the real problem here, and he had a really, even though it was gruff and abrupt, he was very good at getting right to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cut through all the bullshit. What's the real problem here?
You're letting your inner engineer come out here on this one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what it is, and so many guys in this sphere come to it, and there's a couple archetypes out there where, one guy is the whole world's against me. I'm a victim. I've been a victim my whole life. Another one is, my wife's a cunt, and I don't know how to. I don't know what to do with it. Nah, man, it's all you. You're a victim. You're a victim because the world lets you. Your wife's a cunt because you let her treat you that way. So, and
Oh yeah, there's no saving. Like everybody wants to save the West now. That's the big thing. Save Western culture. Save it for Christianity, and that's what they're doing instead of like trying to smash with the wifey. It's as much as things change. You're right. They always stay the same. Like those same archetypes are here now. There'll be guys that'll come in here and start talking, and it's always the woe is me. Batman killed my parents. I'm such a victim. And there's the other ones. My wife is this. My wife is that. And what's that new rule? Remember Rule 9? They implemented that where if you can't even talk about yourself from your own perspective, then you're out.
Yeah. It like I said, we were talking earlier offline before we started, but it's the same play. It's always the same play. It's just different characters. And maybe the acts start a little different or finish a little different, but it's all the same.
Mm-hmm. That's that's the part that I enjoy about it, though, because everybody always thinks, because the archetype where everybody's like, well, you can't really know. People are, it's impossible. There's too many variables, and then you get that confuse yourself to the point where you don't do anything. But then the part that gives me comfort is you're right. Like, it's at the point now where if somebody gives me this is my first field report, how did I do? And I can already tell from the start of it. I'm like, okay, here's 3 field reports from 5 years ago that were exactly like you. Here's the things they did right. Here's the things they did wrong. Here's how they ended up. And then almost everybody can fit into 6 categories of men with problems. And they're all solved in pretty much the same way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And you see it, you see it in other subs, you see it in our subs, and no more Mr. Nice Guy, the guys will come in. Most of the time they're coming in, not really from a relationship standpoint. They're coming in from, the classic nice guy point.
Wait, really? So what, is it just they can't get a girl, they're dating, and that's the nice guy stuff?
Yeah, I'd say a third of them got nothing. A third of them have had kind of problems with girls, and we get the occasional married guy. And the married guys, like you said, they're all the same script. You're just, it's super simple. Like, oh, my wife this, my wife that, blah blah blah. Like, hey, what do you really want? And I ask it all the time. Okay, I
love that question.
You said it. You come in here. You've had your verbal vomit, and you've spilled your guts, but you really haven't said anything. Like, what is it that you want? Do
they ever give you an answer?
They do, and you have to. I have a guy on there that's the other mod, and he's a professional coach. That he went to Glover's school and all that stuff, and I definitely, yeah, I use him as the good cop occasionally. I'll let him be the, I tend to cut through it really quick. Like, hey, You're the asshole in this whole picture, not your wife, not your kids, not your boss, not whatever. So what is it that you really want? Like, oh, I want to have a relationship with my wife. Like, okay, so what if she doesn't want to have a relationship with you? That was a guy yesterday said that. Well, I want to have he's 63, I think is what it is down there. I haven't answered him since then, but he's like, they all say the same thing. Like, man, do you want to have a sexual relationship with your wife, or do you want to have a great sexual relationship? Because
Dude,
those two might be the same. They might not be the same. They might be.
Well, that's the part I love about it. Yeah, same thing. When you're talking, like, talking to a few guys. This one guy, Joe, same thing. What's your goal? My goal is I want to have sex with my wife this many times. It's like, well, that's not your goal. That's her goal. Like, you can't, like, your goal doesn't work if it requires other people to make it work for you. And I think that's the part that makes it hard, because you're right. It is simple once you understand stuff. I think the difficult part is being able to make yourself the protagonist in this little narrative you've set up. I think that's the difficult part that most guys don't have. And I almost want to say, like, all the woe is me, it's a feminine imperative, society's out to get you stuff. I'm like, damn it, it's shit like that kind of gives it merit, It's like, how much do you have to brainwash a dude until he can't even think about his own life from his own perspective,
Yeah. The realistic part is, I don't know that everybody should be saved.
Ooh.
If a guy comes to me, like, there's a lot of guys, you hear it, especially on the main red pill sub. A lot of those guys they're living, like, I think you've said it, they're living that blue pill life through red pill lenses, and they see, they want to go out and save all the guys and stuff like that.
Oh, those evangelist types. Yeah.
And I really don't agree with that, man. If you don't want to save yourself, fuck you. Why would I want to save you?
Yeah. That's the thing, though. With the evangelicalism, you're right. It's not, but they're not trying to save other people. They're trying to get validation that they did the right thing by getting other people to do it too. I think that's why it rubs me the wrong way. That, and it just makes us look stupid. It's always the white belts telling you how great karate is.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know that I've looked at it that way, but I do really like that idea, and that's I guess again it's people, that's the biggest problem with nice guys is they seek their validation through external means, and maybe that's just another version of it.
Well, what is it? Everything comes down to validation seeking and covert contracts by the end of it.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And like you said, you can pick those guys out a mile away. Like, oh, if I do this, I do that. Okay, you're set up a covert contract, and that's why it's going to fail. Even if it works, it'll fail. So,
speaking of which, so this was it had it as a later point, but I'm bringing it up here because I love this one. I always call it like the 2-year. Somebody had a great name for it. It was the 2-year alpha male self-improvement program or something like that, where the guy has that covert contract that if I do all of this red pill stuff, then my wife will love me. And remember how for some reason it was always the 2-year mark it took until guys understood it? Like, I don't know if you remember, who was the good example I could think of this? Not True Datness. Yeah, you remember him? He was the flared guy. The only flared guy we ever removed his, well, I guess Will, but we removed his flare. He had a daughter that didn't like him, and she smashed his ex-wife's car a bunch, and he was going to give her money for a car, but he had to do it but he tried to buy her love, but you got to spend more time with me and the wife. And then we were saying basically you're just simping for your daughter, and she did you the luxury of not taking your money and lying to you. And then he yelled at all of us, and then in Mod Mail he started showing us vacation photos talking about how shitty her life was. I can't believe you don't remember this guy.
Oh man,
I did a whole video on him.
I have to go back and look. I'm still in the mod now.
But it started like a whole, well, it didn't start a trend, but it got me noticing a trend where for some reason, I don't know what it is, but it's always 24 months that a guy will come in and it's like, yeah, I've done all the stuff. I'm doing the workout, like all the, what do they call them? Passive dread parts. Remember?
Yep.
And then they get to the 2-year mark where they're finally like, okay, wife, now where's the blowjobs? And she's like, I don't like you. And then they finally start coming back hat in hand with like, I'm red-pilled, aware, guys. By the way, what's a shit test? And you're like, oh, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, no, I hate that the worst. Oh, I've been reading it for 6 months. So okay, what the hell does that mean? But it really goes down to I think so many guys in life, you, you have to build your life so that if 80% of it is good, then the
Right.
20% that rolls along that's shitty, you deal with it. I think we talk about having abundance and stuff like that, and I think so many of these guys that are really out there doing these validation seeking behaviors and that kind of shit is really, they still haven't embraced abundance, and they still haven't said, like, oh, they go back and they say, I'm awesome, I'm in shape, and all right, honey, it's time to start blowing the old man. And then they're like, she doesn't. And they're like, oh, what the fuck did I do wrong? Like, well, you got the wrong pieces of the puzzle there, like, if
Yeah.
you're that awesome, if you really are, somebody will do it, you know,
Well, I think
go
that's the
replace her.
thing. Because, yeah, they don't, but then they don't want to replace her. Because, like, that's not why I was here. It's because I want her back. And then I don't think they understand the connection. Because
Yeah,
One More Please was talking about it back in body language times, where it's just having that covert contract, it changes how you approach all your interactions with the person. And I'm almost positive that, especially girls, they subliminally pick up on it, where they can see the validation kind of wafting off of you. So no matter how much, alpha male crap you throw out there, it just always has that same mom look at me at the pool, where they just keep yelling
yeah,
mom until she finally turns around.
absolutely, absolutely. The women, and that's probably, especially the really new guys. One of the things that you really have to get down and communicate with them. And I've been in management, a bunch of different levels, my whole life, my whole career, and early on you learn, like, hey, not everybody has the same style, and you really have to teach young guys that your wife doesn't communicate like you. Um, and
Men
even if
and
she
women are
was that,
different.
yeah, they're completely different.
I
And
can't believe this. This is so novel.
even if she was like, I joke, but I literally dated a rocket scientist once. She was
Oh,
smart, she was funny, she was hot, all those things. She was a mechanical engineer, worked for a rocket science company. She did crazy shit. And I went into this relationship thinking, oh, she's an engineer. She's gonna talk like me. And like the first time shit went sideways, she went 100% girl, and I was like, I don't understand this. Like, why is she behaving this way? It's in her nature. That's what she's gonna do. And so many guys want to sit there and think that, like, oh, if they just explain shit the right way to their wife, or they whatever, that she's gonna magically come around.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, I
but no,
understand now. Please drop your pants, sir.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's always
Oh, yeah,
always the part I found funny on those, because I noticed. Do you ever notice that most of those field reports, it wasn't just they explained it to the wife. They always have to say they said it calmly, or they said it stoically, or some nonsense like that. And I always wondered, like, that adjective is a very specific one that everybody always adds. And I have a feeling like they're not stoic, they're not calm about it. They're probably shaken like a chihuahua with like anger or fear or whatever, but they have to convince themselves. And I'm pretty sure it's a self delusion thing, where you think you need to do that covert contract and that it works, and it just doesn't. And you're right, chicks are chicks. I don't know why everybody has such a hard time accepting that, and they just want a dude with a set of tits on them instead.
right. More importantly, they're awesome. You know what?
Well, not all of
You
them.
get,
Casey Anthony, I'm not a big fan of her.
well, listen, the high value girls that you want to have around in your life,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they're 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 awesome for what they are. And I think that's what so many guys miss, is that, like you said, they want a dude with tits. But like, if you embrace your wife or your girlfriend, or even the women in your lives for what they are and not what they aren't, you'll get along with them so much better. Like, I have two boys, I have a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and they are so diametrically opposite, but they are what they are. You know, my daughter she's an emotional bundle of energy. She lives life through completely different eyes. My boys are just, they're boys. They want to smash shit. They, they want to take stuff apart. She doesn't. And so many guys come at problems and they say things like, well, if she was just a guy, she would see it this way, but she's not.
Yeah.
Why would you ever want her to be a guy? That's girls are awesome. They're a different look on life, and I love the story of the scorpion and the frog because of that. It's such a good example of like, hey, this is their nature. Like you can't, you're not going to change their nature. Just like your nature is, everybody's fundamentally kind of fixed at what they are. I always tell the nice guys that, like, you were given a bad set of tools. You're not a victim. You weren't born a victim. Maybe you had some really shitty circumstances in life that nobody gave you the right set of tools to get out of. But it's really just about tool sets. So if you have your wife and you're just, going on and on about like, oh, I can't understand, why she does it this way. Why doesn't she see it my way? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why do you want to change her? Accept her for what she is.
Well, why, guy? Yeah, you know why.
Yeah.
I want to change her because then it means that they don't have to change. She'll accommodate me, and there's an ego behind that, which doesn't work either.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys are uncomfortable with, I see it in my young sons, like when my daughter's like crying about something. I'm like, Dad, why is she crying all the time? Like, what do you care? that's her. Let her have her feelings, and if you don't like it, leave the room.
Plus, I mean, I know it's like brother sister, but I know a lot of guys like that too. I remember the old Archwinger essay he did where he was going to the gym and then his wife started crying because she wanted him to stick around, so he skipped the gym that day, and then she kind of lost respect for him a bit. It was a nice little essay, but I always laugh where guys are like, I want a feminine woman. I don't want these masculine feminist types. And then the girl starts crying for no reason. They're like, why is she crying? It's like, didn't you just say you wanted a feminine girl?
Oh, that makes me uncomfortable. And that's what so many guys do, is they don't like the feelings that come out of a woman, and they don't want to deal with them. So they're like, that's why they want to change their feelings. They want to fix their feelings. It's like, listen, you give her a good operating guideline. Like, hey, this is the relationship. This is what we're going to have. This is what I bring to the table. And these are my boundaries, and if you got a woman who's, bipolar and shit like that, that's your fault. You stuck around for it, And
in fairness, it's not a surprise. It doesn't happen 10 years in. They're like, oh, by the way, I'm bipolar. You kind of notice it early on. You just ignore it.
Yeah. And that's because guys are lacking abundance again. Like, listen, my oldest son, any advice he asked me, like if he ever came to me like, I'm dating this girl, but she's on bipolar meds, I'm like, dude, leave. Not your circus, not your monkeys. You don't need to. There's plenty of women out there in the world. So many guys. I'm almost 50, and we've
Happy
all
birthday.
got stories. Yeah. We've all got stories of friends who like they ended up with some woman who was clearly had problems, and they excuse it away, but that's because they're afraid. They're afraid of either being alone. They're afraid of like, oh, she's pretty hot. I mean, she used to be a stripper, but she's pretty hot. Like, dude, that's no. Just keep moving. There's lots of other people out there, lots of other things. So, and once you get that good feeling for like, okay, this is kind of the things I want in a partner and a girlfriend. These are the things I'm willing to tolerate, because there's things that I'm okay with that I'm sure most guys would be like, holy shit, like I would never even deal with that. Like my wife is a New Jersey girl. She's, she
Like
can be loud.
Snooki?
She can, not that. No, Snooki's not a Jersey girl. She's from, I think, Staten Island. But she's. I've lived all over the country. I've lived in the South. I've lived in Midwest. You know, I travel all over. You know, and Northeast girls tend to be much more abrupt and quick. You know, with what they're gonna. You know, whereas the Southern girls I've dated in the past are very. I don't know. They would tell you like, "Oh yeah, that's okay," but you know, my wife would be like, "No, you're a fucking asshole. Why did you do that?" So,
Dude, you make them sound like Quebec chicks. What the fuck, Steve? And you're like, ooh. They start getting all
Montreal a
quacky.
lot. Yeah, I go to Montreal a lot on business, and I always joke that, man, fucking Quebecois girls could say the worst shit to me in French, and I probably wouldn't give a fuck about it. Like, okay, yeah, say that again.
Actually, to be fair,
um,
yeah, if you're surrounded by New Jersey accents, the quacky Quebecois probably sounds just wonderful.
but you know what I tell my, you know what I tell my Canadian friends, and they hate it. I was like, I go to Montreal, and Montreal is basically like if you cross France and New Jersey. It's really similar. But
Dude.
you leave the airport and you're like, man, if it wasn't for all the French signs around here, this would just like New Jersey, and they get pretty pissed when you say that. But
I
you know,
actually think that's the most accurate thing ever.
yeah, yeah,
I never thought of it that way.
yeah. And the Quebecois, they love going to Wildwood, man. It's like Quebec South in the summertime. So I figured, yeah, there's some truth to it.
Yeah. See, you're more switched on about it than Canadians because as a West Coaster, they always that's like the Canadian France. It's like Canada mixed with France, and you get over there, you're like, no, it's not. This isn't even close. But you're right. Everybody's loud. Everybody's like very blunt and upfront about what they want. The girls they're not so Catholic they'll go to the church, but they're Catholic enough that they hate condoms, and you're like, ugh. It's a little bit of a yeah.
I because I've been to France quite a bit too, and I would say that they're probably France's rednecks is the best way to describe them. You know,
Exactly.
like they're the country relatives in France that nobody wants to talk about. They're but
Well, I mean, they did technically say, I'm just going to go get some smokes, and they never came home that one day
right,
in the 1700s.
send a bunch of prostitutes to Canada and said, oh, okay, here you go.
Good luck, sir.
These are the Queen's women, and enjoy. So,
fuck. Actually, here, this is going to be my segue. You're going to love this. I'm going to try and word this together good. So I was thinking about this. You were talking about every guy's got that chick that was crazy. A buddy of mine is actually married to a Quebec girl. She was just a play to his, and they broke up, and then she got pregnant after he got drunk and showed up a week after they broke up. And she was like 32, so it was like keeping the baby, and he decided to stick around for the kids. Now, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I was going to talk about anxious avoidant wives. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, but it was after you moved on. There was a theme there for a while in the Married Red Pill where instead of somebody caught on to transactional analysis, the idea of or anxious avoidance, you know, those personality types that don't show affection too well. And what was it? Red Curious, the lawyer, where he talked about how he tried to condition his wife to not be like freaked out by his touch. And then
I remember him. Like he's got some stuff on the sidebar that we stickied, right? And I think
Better Beta's divorce guide
or something. Isn't he more on the Christian Red Pill or something like that?
Yeah, he got them there. Wine More Please, I know, spends time in there because he loves seeing the guys where they're like, you can talk about red pill stuff, just don't cuss. He just thinks it's funny.
Right.
Or how they just work their ass off to try and make the Bible fit. Like, how do I get rational male into this Bible? And they're just jamming into Genesis or whatever. Leaning heavily on the Old Testament. I guess that's the red-pilled side of it. But here, that was the whole point was I was leading to a question.
I remember some of the stuff with the anxious avoidance.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like you've been around longer than me, so you've seen these cycles more. And the part that always got me about it is it seemed like this is how I can fix my wife, or this is how I can explain away her behavior, and this is how I can avoid having to make a difficult decision by who stays and who goes in my life by trying to fix her. I can fix her. And so I just never liked the entire thing, but at the same time, like it's got some rigor to it, so I never really gave it its due. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on it.
I think a guy's default nature is we're problem solvers, and unfortunately, I think in relationships, it gives us an uncompetitive,
disadvantage.
disadvantage. It's definitely a disadvantage. You know, it works very well for a lot of things, and you know, like career.
Yeah.
You know, you can get really aggressive. You can step back and look at things like, okay, what's really going on here, blah blah blah. But I think so many guys, like, it's really the wrong question. So, you know, you're going to go through all this effort, and like, you know, and I definitely, you know, you'll see me. I'm on the conservative boards, and politically, I'm pretty conservative.
Okay.
And but I think all those guys are again, they're trying to live blue pill lives through red pill language, you know, and they're trying to stick behind, you know, very traditional things like, you know, Christianity, or, you know, every once in a while we'll get like a, you know, a brown guy from India on, and, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And no, you know, it's all the same, man. If you're not willing to walk away, no matter what, you're really never ever going to be 100% red pilled, because you're letting other things in your life dictate your
frame.
Yeah.
And your behavior. Absolutely.
And
I was going to say too, was it your post? Was you the one that wrote why you're lost? Or am I getting you mixed up with? I got to look it up.
I think my probably my favorite post one of them that I ever did was to know your walk away point. And it's, you know, and again, it goes to frame. You can have this anxious avoidance wife, you can have whatever, but at what point is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? You're going to go through all this effort, and we've all been there. You go to the gym, you work out, you get in shape. If you weren't in shape, you know, and you start to become more attuned to it, you know, and I mean, I started down this path. I've been, you know, I wasn't like one of these guys. We have, you know, there's a couple guys that come on, just we'll take an aside here. Like there's the guys that were like, oh, I was never very successful in life, and I met a girl. She's the only girl I've ever been with, blah blah blah. And then there's, you know, the fallen alphas who were like, yeah, I was slaying it in college, I was slaying it in my career. I met this 10 out of 10, and I turned into just a complete beta bucks. You know, there's that guy. I was like in between. Like, I never had problems meeting girls. I always had in high school. You know, I lost my virginity a little earlier than most. I had a steady girlfriend here and there. College, so never had a problem. You know, and kind of got to a point. My wife and I had some hard times in our marriage, from, you know, some illness, and we had twins, which is just horrible to do to anybody.
And the boy and the girl, or the two boys?
Boy and a girl. Yeah, the youngest two are boy and a girl.
I'm not sure. Does that make it better or worse? I guess at least it's easier to tell them apart.
Yeah. And I used to get that all the time. Oh, are they identical? Yeah, except he's got a penis.
That didn't age well. Welcome to 2022, sir.
Yeah. And you know, so I kind of came there too, like trying to find like, oh, like, you know, when we first were together, my wife and I, you know, I was making great money. You know, she was a hot little thing in the office, and, you know, let's go to Vegas. We go to Vegas. You know, like, hey, let's, you know, I want to shoot out to the coast for the week. Yeah, let's go out to California. You know, we're having a great time, and then kids and illness come along, and it really kind of fucks you up. So you get back into it. I probably Googled like, oh, how do I flirt with my wife or something like that, and, you know, started getting back in the gym and all that stuff, and you know, all of a sudden, you know, you see other girls like asking you questions and getting you a little more attention than you were, you know, like, hey, I think she was flirting with me, you know. So it kind of made me realize early on that, like, okay, it you know, I've got my side of it, but I've got it, you know, like, I'm not like completely out of the game. It's not, you know,
you are the prize.
Right. I don't smell. I don't stink. I don't, you know, it's so, you know, so what else is it that's going on, you know? And I got to a point I've said it on the board. Like, I actually was at the point where I was on the internet looking at divorce lawyers, and my wife came down and just lost it. She lost her shit. She was, hey, I don't know what's going on, but if you're thinking about moving on, she's like, I don't want that, blah, blah, blah. And that was kind of like a turning point for me when I kind of realized, like, hey, I really love the captain and the first mate model. And I just kind of realized, like, hey, if I go through my life centered on myself and I build my life the right way, all the other things will come along and will come along great. Yeah,
because it sounded like she had investment at the very least.
Yeah.
Everybody's always worried about genuine desire. I'm like, I don't know, man. Relationship investment seems pretty important to me.
Yeah, as you get older, there's certainly as men, I think we all primarily we want that sexual intimacy. It's just a huge driver in the way we do things, the way we deal with our wives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you're in middle age, there's other things to consider, like oh well, we've got 30 years of retirement ahead of us. We've got college for the kids. We've got all these other things, and is she a good partner in that regards? Can she handle the stress, when the shit gets hard? And you have to go back every day and say, all right, is she still on the team? Is she still, number one position there? And, am I still doing the things I need to as a leader and to build my life so that the people I value stick around and the people I don't are rejected, and
those are hard questions too. Like I know you're throwing them out flippantly. I don't think guys realize. Good example. I don't know if you remember any of these people, but there was Older Pillar. He was the oldest guy until over 60 Stupid Loner, who was 65, I think. He's officially, as far as I know, the oldest guy who found like the married red pill. But do you remember that one where he was actually about to retire and his wife refused to stop working? And it was so important to him that he was basically willing to like throw it all away because he's like, yeah, look, if you're going to keep becoming a workaholic, I'm going to leave. He set up his life out, like you said, your walk away point. For him, that was his walk away point. Luckily, his wife sounds a lot like yours, where she's like, no, I think I'd rather have you than the office, which kudos to him. But those don't always work out, and I think that's why guys are scared. Example, do you remember Addict, bro? I know I'm throwing out a lot of old names. You probably don't remember them.
Yeah, Addict, bro. He's one, had a really hard time. And I think your original question was conditioning the wife and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the long diatribe, what ultimately comes down to it is like, I don't know what your walkaway point is. I don't know what his walkaway point is, but I do think that guys aren't serious enough with themselves to say, why am I going through this? Why am I going through trying to, to use the blue pill people, the people that really criticize us. Why am I trying to go through what really is pretty deep manipulation just to get her whatever? So
yeah. Oh no, it's too honestly, there's like I know, was it K or him? Who was the one that had one of the parts of thing? I might have been Dread, where to start fixing things around the house. I want to say that was in the Professor's Dread book, but I can't remember now. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Like he had his, 10 levels of dread or 12 steps?
12, yeah, but I mean, it got real fuzzy around 8.
Yeah.
I got to make 12 steps like the AA program. What's 12? I don't know. Cheat on her and tell her. I'm like, right. I don't know if that's the one. But, it was like, start doing things around the house. And a lot of guys hated that because, like, it sounds like chore play, right? It's like, it's not chore play. The idea is you're in this, either a sexless marriage or she's just sitting on the couch getting fat and you're doing all the work. I'm doing everything. So you act as if she's dead, and then you live the life that you'd want to live to the standards that you can set. If it's too much work for you, then either downsize your life or you pretty much have to downsize your life because it has to get handled and you can't there, or just let it go to a different standard. And then the idea is that guy hits that revelation point where he realizes, like, dude, I've got other girls flirting with me at the gym. I've got the
Yeah.
kids, all the stuff done. And then you turn around, you look over and like, what is she doing here? Like, A, she's not fucking me. And B, she's not even keeping the house clean or taking care of the kids or anything. And it's weird that a guy has to go through like hell to finally make that realization. But I always find it so fascinating when a guy hits it, because you'll tell him about it for like a year, and then he hits it, and then he acts as if he just discovered it, and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh, man. Always.
Get, I mean, it's one of the first things I tell guys, even especially on the No More Mr. Nice guys. Like, hey, what are you doing? Get busy.
Yeah.
You know, get busy and get working to the point in your life where you make your wife nervous. Like, she looks at you and you like sit down and she goes, I feel like I should be doing something. You know, you should be setting the pace all the time. And if that means like, hey, you pull her aside, like, you know what, we're going to relax this weekend. We're going to have a good time. You set that pace. And I think so many guys are, you know, like, I hate it. Like when I see you hear guys talk about like, oh, let me ask the wife permission, or like, oh, let me check with the wifey, blah, blah, blah. You know, and that is, you know, goes back to you're in her frame, you know. And if you're not in your frame, you're in nobody's frame. So you just got to get out, get busy.
But the guys have no frame, because I don't think they understand what frame is. I think they think frame is stoicism or like being non-reactive, when it's not really. I think the best, like again, Why More Please talked about that. The best way he describes frame is it's like a coherent worldview. And that's why if you have your coherent world, he used the example of your wife being a crazy bitch. So if she starts yelling at you and shit like that, if that's your frame, she's a crazy bitch, she's emotional, she starts accusing you of things, you're not going to get fluffed about it. You're not going to get irritated or mad or argue with her, because you know this is just emotional nonsense coming back at me, as opposed to a guy without frame who's like, I held frame and I didn't get mad at her and I calmly told her to be quiet. But it's not the same thing, and I don't think a lot of guys understand that.
You know, I've had this argument online with people, and
Oh.
Especially
online arguments. Tell me more, sir.
Yeah. Right. Especially with like some of the younger guys on Red Pill, about the difference between, I think they use frame and alpha as synonymous. Like, oh, if you come in, if your boss comes in and tells you, you know, you got to do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 you know, he's obviously alpha, and he's obviously, you're in his frame at that point. Like, no, not necessarily. You can still, you know, there's lots of ways that sometimes, yeah, you're right. The boss is the boss, and you're going to let him be the boss. But you can always operate in your frame. You can always operate in your rules, in your, you know, sometimes like I had a boss a long time ago, like he just started going off on me about something, and I just looked at him and I was like, you know, my dad doesn't yell at me like that. There's no way. There's no way I'm going to let somebody in your position in life talk to me that way. And my dad is probably the guy I've respected the most in life, out of men in life. So, you know, yeah, he's the boss. And if he wanted to really go alpha on me, he could have fired me or whatever. But again, I'm letting him into my life the way I want him to be in my life.
Yeah, and you've done the work to accept the consequences of that. I think that's the other thing. A lot of guys are, but what if I get fired? But I can't remember if it was you that first got me onto the idea of the war chest, like the 6 months to 12 months saved income. So that way,
I've
like losing the job is just like a delay. It's not going to stall or it's not going to cause any anxiety. Greatest advice you ever gave, by the way. My 2-year war chest after the military, you have no idea how smoothly that transition went because of that. So I guess this is like a big heartfelt thank you to you on that one, man. 7 years too late, but we got there. I guess 5 years too late. When did I leave? 2015. Oh, 7 years. Jesus.
That's all right.
Getting old. I don't like this. Give it back. Give me my youth, you son of a bitch.
Youth is waste. Youth is wasted on the young. I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm a little older, but I tell people all the time, I still feel like I'm 18. You know, every once in a while, I'm like, oh shit, I got to pick that off the floor. But you know, my oldest son, he's a good gym bro, and he can't quite take me yet, and I'm fighting it along the way. But like I said, I most of the time I feel like I'm still 18, and You know, I think a lot of the younger guys, they kind of, I don't know, they discount that like, oh, you know, like you don't understand, you're older, or, you know, you don't get the world now because you're older, blah blah blah. I'm like,
The term they use is the game has changed, bro. It's not the
it's
same
still
as
the
it used to
same,
be.
Jane, still the same. Like all this shit. You know, I was in college trying to, you know, pick up sorority chicks and shit like that. It's the same game. It might be different. Like, yeah, I don't have to sit on my toilet and swipe left and shit like that. Like, you know, in college I did get out in front, but
Oh, here, I got to ask on the college one. Did you have the shoebox full of like bar napkins with phone numbers written on them? Or was that just a my age thing?
I went to a really big state college, and
Right.
so most of my meeting of young ladies was probably at like parties, like frat parties and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So I don't, you know, I don't remember.
They had that night and that's it. Good
Yeah,
luck, sir.
yeah,
If I see you, I see you. If I don't recognize you, don't be offended.
yeah.
It was the Kager. What do you expect? All right, fair enough. So that
I
might have been me. Because I got
yeah
in
no,
right
I
around like when mystery was big and like your crazer flip phones. So entering the number in there was such a
did,
pain. It was just easier to write
did
it on a napkin.
didn't have a cell phone. I was in college in the early '90s, so I didn't have a cell phone.
Oh, fair enough. How
So
about this? But yeah, I mean, it's just the tech that changes, really.
yeah,
Whether you had a
and
cell
that's
phone
what
or you didn't have a cell phone, and people
that's why
don't
you see
change.
guys like, oh, field report. I was flirting with a girl on Snap, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, you weren't. You weren't doing shit. You can't flirt with a girl on Snap. Oh yeah, I can.
Hey,
Nope, nope.
thank you. I have been preaching that text is for logistics only, like you can't fuck somebody on text for years, and people argue with me to this day. They run me up the flagpole for it, and I'm like, stop wasting your time on the chick's Instagram DMs. She will not fuck you through DMs.
No, no.
Ever.
And that's what, and you know, and it it's still about physical contact. Like, if you
It
want a
has to be.
girlfriend, you got to get in front of her, and you know, you're not going to waste your time. And I get it. Like, you know, my son, he definitely lives a world through a different lens than I ever did. You know, the way
Mm-hmm.
he communicates and stuff like that. But even then, it's still, you got to move to meet. It's really what it comes down to. Put yourself in front of her, take your shot, and get the fuck out.
Everything else is just honestly, it's the weirdest thing because that was like the online dating, the having the smartphone, the different apps. They were all designed to make this to facilitate this stuff, and I'm finding it's having the opposite effect. It's almost a barrier at this point. You'll
Yeah.
spend so much time texting, chatting, snapping,
Oh my
Instagramming,
God.
TikToking that you don't actually get face to face with somebody. You
Listen,
know?
when I was in high school, we had one phone in the house. I had the occasional friend. I had the occasional friend that had their own phone lines, right? So maybe they had two phones or something like that.
Right.
And if you wanted to like meet up with the group of friends, you had to make, you know, 4 or 5 phone calls and then be like, all right, we're gonna meet at such and such at 7 p.m. and all meet there.
And you
And
had
we
to be
got it.
there.
Yeah, and you got it done. Like my son, they've got instant communication with each other. Like we'll be driving at across the country and he'll be like, oh, my friend's in North Carolina. And they can't figure out how the fuck to even get on the same page. It's so annoying. Like, oh, we're going skiing this weekend. Who do you want to bring? Like, I don't know. I didn't ask anybody. Like, literally, just send out a mass text and say we've got space in the car. Like, getting in the car. Did you invite anybody? No, I didn't. And
Do you want to?
I think what you're saying is right with guys that are like, you know, and it's horrible in work environments too, because, you know, people will be like, well, I texted, they didn't answer. I sent an email, they didn't answer. You know, especially the millennials and I don't know what's after the millennials, the
Zoomers,
generation
Gen Z. Yeah.
Zoomers or whatever. You know, like, did you call them? Did you walk to their office and see if they were there? Oh no, I didn't. Oh my God. And it's the same problem with young kids dating. Like, I don't know how they even make it out of their own houses.
They don't. Have you not seen it? The stats like 30. Okay, some of these are Canadian stats. 50% of adults between 20 and 35 live at home with their parents in Canada. 30% of guys haven't had sex in the last 2 years. So like just people aren't having sex. They aren't meeting. It's like SSRIs are falling. It's crazy when you think about it, because you're like me. Spent your whole life, you're kind of like getting rid of the crappy people in your life, getting good people in your life, and then the internet kind of gives you a window back to where they are now. It's bad out there, man. It's really bad. And that's why you keep seeing like incels are making insane amounts of money right now selling sex dolls to each other. Like that's how big the market is. But the story I wanted to tell you to piss you off, which is going to be hilarious, is like I'm not too embarrassed to talk about my inner millennial. Went to Vegas with my girl. Can't remember what hotel we stayed at, but we were just doing our thing, you know, and then my mom's birthday came up. So I, you know, sent her a Facebook message. Hey, happy birthday, whatever. And then I looked, my brother was in Vegas, had a photo of his room, and I looked over. He was literally staying across the street from me. And we had both been there for like 4 days at this point. Never saw each other, never talked. And my mom's on there she's like, I have the worst sons ever. You guys not know this?
That happens.
But it was literally, I just looked across the street because there was like a Marilyn Monroe painting, and I'm like, that looks really familiar, man. And I post, I'm like, hey, bro, are you right there? And he goes, and he waves out the window. I'm like, fuck. As the first generation millennial, I feel like I have to carry this burden. That and the avocado toast thing. Both of those are our fault, man.
My family's spread out, so I have family all over the country and all over the world, and I've done the same thing. I've gotten off. I was talking to my brother, and I was like, "Hey, I'm getting off an airplane." Same thing. Well, where are you? I'm like, I'm in Miami, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in Miami too." Like, cool. Where you at? I got to go to the airport in 3 hours. All right, I'll grab you. Had lunch with him. All that stuff. It happens.
Nice. Technically, that's how I met my girl.
In Miami at the airport?
No, well, not in Miami, but in Vancouver. It was literally that same thing where it's like she's pissed off, her date flaked. I was dating a stripper at the time. She kind of flaked, and then she's calling and bitching. And she was just a plate at the time, and she's calling and bitching about the dude. And I'm like, where are you? Because the name sounded familiar. She's like, I'm in Vancouver. It just sucks. I wish I was back on the island. I'm like, oh, well, hey, I'll pick you up. Let's go. And then 13 years later, I'm sitting here talking with you about strippers in Vegas.
I did all these guys, and it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, but like the don't shit where you eat guys. I think that's a stupid ass rule. I met my wife at work.
Really?
Yeah. I met my wife at work. Like I said, she was, and I worked in an office that was kind of barbell shaped with age. There was a whole bunch of people in their 40s and 50s, and then a whole bunch of people in their 20s, and then nothing in between. And I'm a little bit older than my wife, and I met her, and you get really good at not being a weirdo when you pursue people in the office.
I should hope so.
Because you're like, oh God, like, and I the corporate environment that I worked at was, there was a lot of married people in the building, so it wasn't like some places like now where it's like, oh, if you're going to date somebody in your department, you have to transfer out or you have to go to a different division, blah blah blah. So, and you see all these guys that are like, oh, don't shit where you eat and blah blah blah. And again, it goes back to abundance. Like, yeah, listen, if there's a girl and you're interested and you think it's a good opportunity and you can manage it without it blowing up in your face, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Well, see, that's the last part there. Like, I always tell, because this place, Red Pill's never been about true things. It's about useful things. You can agree with that, right?
Pragmatism. But
absolutely, yeah. So in the same reason that we don't tell guys like, how do you cheat on your wife? Like, what's the roadmap for that? What's your game plan? And like, no, you don't get that as a strategy. Not because it's not red pilled and it's a moral lens, but because if you need me to explain it to you, you're probably not ready for it. I think UltmateCad kind of got me onto that one. And so I make a joke to the guys where I'm like, if I tell you the moon is made out of cheese and you go to the gym 3 days a week, then as far as you're concerned, the red pill says the moon's made out of cheese. Very consequentialist. And I think it's the same thing with office dating. Because HR doesn't give a shit about people dating at the office. They care about people breaking up at the office. Right. And if you have a bad breakup with a girl and she starts, weaponizing shit, yeah, they might just transfer her out, but they could also fire you. And with all those risks involved, you have to be a guy that gets it. And so you're right. You can totally date a girl at the office if you're not creepy, you have some discretion. don't get that one girl that you slept with and then you left, and then she's jealous that you're dating the new girl and so tries to fight, like all those little problems there. But if you're socially adept, those aren't your issue. But if I have to explain it on like a 7-point wish list of how to fuck
Right.
the office skank, then you're probably not
Right.
going to do well.
Right. Yeah. Hey, listen, if you do it right, you might not work out with her, but it'll certainly set the social proof for the rest of them.
Oh, I don't know if you know this. I wrote a book, and it was like a bunch of examples. That was actually one whole chapter on this. My first month on board a ship, there was this coworker of mine, Weber, and his wife. I ended up almost sleeping with her during their stag, and it was like the best introduction to a bunch of sailors you could ever have. Because they didn't like him at all. And there's always this thing
Right.
with sailors. If you don't like a member of your crew, fucking their wife is seen as like that's the high five event. So yeah.
Fucking Jody.
What was her name? I don't remember what her name was. I just remember she had an injection of something, like for Crohn's or something, and she had like 3 dots of gray hair coming out of her head. That's all I can remember about her. That and my roommate the next morning woke me up and said, "Who was that trailer park bitch you brought home last night?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Weber's wife." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'd have fucked her too. I hate that guy." So so I'm with you. I've dated a few girls at work, and it never really came back to bite me in the ass. So but at the same time, yeah, I'm not going to tell guys, just find the guy that nobody likes at work and fuck his wife. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's not very responsible advice, you know.
Just don't be a retard. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You know?
It's hard, man. You say that, it's like telling a guy the trick to immortality is just not dying. Sounds good.
Yeah.
People really get lost in those
agree.
details.
I agree. Yeah.
But I guess,
had a-
I mean,
I had
there
a-
wouldn't be a subreddit for all this stuff, or multiple subreddits for all this stuff, if it were easy not to be a retard, right?
I had a friend a couple years back, and he was living with his baby mama, and she did some shady shit on the side, and
Oh. Shady shit or shady
Questionable.
people?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the whole story was, and what it really came down to. They broke up. He moved out. She moved on pretty quickly. So I got a feeling some of the shady shit was probably true and all that.
Gotcha.
And he came to me and asked for help, and I offered him help, but he just couldn't get out of his own way. He just I'm like, dude, we'll call him Bill. Like, Bill, he had 3 things going for him. He had a job, he was in shape, and he wasn't married. And when you're in your 30s,
Sometimes
money.
that's all it takes.
That's all it takes, and you just can't get people to realize. And like, he was just going on and doing crazy shit with her and all that. I'm like, dude, you know what you need to do? Go out and bang a bunch of strange, because nothing is going to clear your head more than getting balls deep in it. And I don't know, he just couldn't get out of his own way. And
Was it like a morality thing for him, or a fear of rejection thing for him, or just every time he went on the date started bitching about his ex-wife with them, or what was the thing?
I think it really was back to control. Like, he didn't want to give up the fact that his old lady wasn't into him anymore, and whatever reason that was. And there was a bunch of reasons. Like, he didn't have his shit together, and he's good hard worker, had 0 cents about money, so they'd be flush with cash one day, and
Piss it away the next.
Piss it away the next day, and she wasn't a high value woman, and there's a lot to be said to that too. You really need to vet a person that you're going to have kids with. There's like, you see it on the red pill subs where the guys are like, oh, she's a slut, I don't want anything to do with her. No, listen, hey, sluts are fun, but they have a place, right? You don't wife up a slut. You find a high value girl, and the more impact they're going to have in your life, the more they need to be vetted, and you need to make sure, so I don't know, she wasn't vetted very well. She's kind of definitely probably had a skanky past, and he just couldn't get out of it. Like, he couldn't get away from the control. And like, it's hard to tell a guy who's got so much vested in her, like, hey, she's a skank, right? Like, why are you so wigged out about it? Just go, you said, like, bang the guy's, the guy in the Navy's wife that you didn't like. I always just tell people, go bang her sister.
That's probably a better play.
Yeah, go bang her sister, then, and, some guys just can't get to the point where they accept in life that, like, it's okay. It's okay. It's done. Maybe she wasn't a great choice. Maybe she was. Maybe she was a great choice at the time, but now it's not.
That's just it. Yeah, but you see, that's the. I know I'm not actually disagreeing with him. I'm agreeing with you. That's where everybody starts thinking about who's at fault, what's to blame, acting like a child. Like, yeah, pick that up. I didn't do it. Who cares? Pick it up. I think it's like that carried over to like a 40-year-old man child. But I do want to push back on the vetting a bit, though. And I know I've gotten to this argument, I think, Rule Zero Dad, and he told me you're just making a semantic argument. Shut up. So you might be saying the same thing here. But the reason I don't like vetting, I actually did an essay on this one, why I hate it. Because the first one is, like, guys don't know what they want. You said yourself. You ask a guy, comes in a No More Mr. Nice Guy, what do you want? He can't give you an answer. At least not until you, like, cajole it out of him. So what I find most people do when they're vetting is that whatever girl is available for them, if they don't have abundance, they just kind of, whatever she's doing, they're like, yeah, that's the stuff I'm vetting for.
They fit her into it.
They fit her into it. Or they start doing value systems, right? But it's always like, where do those values come from? It's usually your parents ingrained them into you, or like your church is telling you to do it, or the way you were raised back in the day. I was from a farm. This is how we act. So they're not really your values. And I don't find a lot of the time they work out in your favor. And then the big part for me on it too, and this is the big part for me, is that it's a snapshot, right? If I vet a girl, I think you even told me this, where the girl you marry isn't the same girl as the one you were dating, and the girl you have kids with isn't the same girl you married. If you're lucky, you can like all three. It was either you or Rule Zero Dad who said that. And that's the only other reason I don't like it. So I like Boundaries far more. Like,
I
think what you want, just act right.
So here's what I'll say. Like, I run a sales organization, right?
Right.
And we talk about sales funnels, and I look at vetting like a sales funnel, right? You have
what's your tofu?
You have an ideal customer, right?
Right.
And you have an ideal product, that's you. And when I mean vetting is like, you don't want to go through a girl's like CV and be like, oh, she's got this, she doesn't have this, blah blah blah. What you really want to do is build a filter system, a funnel that ultimately, if
gets rid of the parts you don't want.
Yeah, if everything is there, she then rises to the top, or she filters out into, and there's levels. There's the top level, right? And that would be, if you're just talking prospects, but in the context of where we're talking about, that would be the plate. There's girls that are plateable, and they're never going to get past that next level, which is maybe you see them in public on a regular basis. And then there's the, like, girls that are going to be like, potential LTRs, or like Vasily says, like OLTRs. You have 3 or 4 girls that you got a special place in your heart for. So the vetting process then comes, I've always wanted kids, and I think a lot of, especially the young red pill guys, it's a real, I don't know, it's a problem for them, because they don't understand, like, how do they align that, like you said, their family values that maybe they had ingrained in them over the years or whatever, with
the modern landscape.
So that to me was an instant filter. Like, if I was dating a girl before my wife and she was like, oh, I don't really want kids. Okay, cool. See you later. I'm not going to waste your time. And I go, or you played it, and then when she started asking things like, hey, what are we? Like, yeah, this is what we are. This is all we're ever going to be. So either accept it for what it is or move on. So you have to have, in your words, really clearly defined boundaries, right? If you want a girl that is has a really good work ethic, some girl that there's a good friend of mine was like he was dating a girl out in Seattle, and you're on the West Coast. Seattle's just,
good luck with that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a whole fucking weird world out there. Let's put it that way. and she was like, well, I'm a yoga instructor part-time. I work as a bartender, this and that. I don't ever think I'll settle down. I don't ever think I want to buy a house or any of those kind of things. And to me, that's a clear boundary. Like, okay, she doesn't have any direction in life. And that direction could be something, that maybe isn't, because I've never been worried about having girls that have money, because I've always done quite well for myself. So,
right.
but maybe she was like, I really like, saving the animals, and I want to run like a shelter or something like that. To me, that's a boundary that like,
you don't want her saving animals, or you do?
For me, I yeah, definitely. I love man. I've a few times I've cried in my life is because when I had to put dogs down. So I have no shame in admitting that. But the boundary was, I don't want a chick that's aimless, right? The first girl was aimless.
I see.
Yeah. And so when I say that, yes, you are right, 100%. Too many guys look at a girl and they say, oh, she's got all these qualities, so that's how I'm going to vet. I'm going to self-select the right qualities out of her, so she naturally vets herself into my life, when you should be like the other way around. Like, hey, I've got all these things that are important to me, like career. I've always told my wife, hey, my career is the thing that's going to give me opportunities to do the things I want. Here's the things I want to do. I want to have a family. I want to have vacation home. I want to have, regular vacations. If you could be a stay-at-home mom, these are the things that I want to do. If these aren't interesting to you, then cool. Let's move along.
Yeah, you'll never make it further than, what you're actually referring to is pretty much the Human Sock Puppets bitch management guide, if you remember that from the old red pill time.
Yeah.
Same thing where she can be promoted, but as soon as she gets demoted or stalled, then that's as far as they go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because then like I said, I think too many guys try to make women
their necessity into a virtue.
Right. When I have a good friend who's running on a great life adventure, and I'm really excited for him. And he was really lamenting that, like, I'm not finding, I'm running into girls that are either, because he's in his mid-30s, so the girls that he was kind of connecting with were one of two types. They were either super career oriented, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to leave my career and run off on this great adventure. Or they were like, I'm 29, my clock is ticking. I want a house and I want 2 babies. And he's like, this isn't. And I'm like, dude, you've got your rules. You just have to stick with them and put it out there. Put it very clearly. This is what I'm doing in life. If you're cool with it, I'd like to meet you. And if you're not, then and it worked. He ended up finding somebody who was like, hey, that sounds really cool. Let's do that.
Yeah, probably had to run through a bunch to get there, though. I'm assuming more than one.
Oh, a bunch. But
I think that's what guys are missing. It's like the ratio is really bad out there, and it's not because all women are garbage. It's because, as a guy, if you know what you want, that becomes very specific, and so you limit the pool of people who are available to that. So you pretty much have to play the numbers game if you expect to find one. And
you can't treat it as a success or failure. And again, this is the inner engineer in me coming out. You have to look at it like data. And I even my son, I try to impart on him, like, hey, the girl's not working for you. You're not working for her either. So it's time to move on. And then you look at it and say, all right, this was cool. I didn't like this. I like this. And you add it to your toolbox. Like, okay, I had this level of filters before. Here's something I'm going to tweak,
A
and
new
then the
boundary.
next one that comes, yeah, when the next one that comes along, you're like, right away, you're like, yeah, didn't work last time. There's no reason it's going to work this time. So, why waste my time? Like, the only thing that we have in life, you could lose all your money, lose all your stuff. The only thing that we don't have an unlimited amount of is time. And you just gotta, make the best value of the time that you do have.
Dude, and that's funny because nobody knows what they want, but it's amazing how good people are at finding out what they don't want. I've noticed this, and you probably, like, you're in, corporate life, so you probably know this one too. The trick I used to do when I used to be information security is if I had to get a project by somebody and I needed their input, I used to ask them, okay, what is it you need from this? What is it you don't need? And I'd never get a good answer. But I found the best way to do it is to tell them what I'm doing. And then they were instantly able to correct me on all the things that were wrong with it.
Right.
And I almost think that's like carries through on so many things. Make a decision, tell people what's up, and then all of a sudden they get some clarity of thought about the parts of it that are no-goes for them. It always just makes me laugh.
And I think you always have to do that. Like,
It appears to be, yeah.
I miss how much maybe in my 20s I thought I knew everything, and instead now I'm always trying to look at stuff again. Like, okay, what did I see on this? What did I do differently? Like, how do I learn from this? What else can I add to my toolbox that if I come back and say, oh, you know what, I did it this way, I did it that way, and like you're saying, instead of asking people,
what would you want?
What would make you say yes? I try to get people to say, like, well, really, what would make you say no? And then how do we get past the no's? Because everybody can say yes. There's all kinds of things that people like, oh, I think this would be great. I think that'd be great. Okay, but what about this? And they go, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Like, okay, that's really interesting. So why wouldn't you do that? Okay, so, and if we can get past that, what do you think about that? So you always, you should have 10 questions for every statement.
Business-wise, I argue less so on relationships only because I find acta non verba really does. It's like the motto of the married red pill, and it pays such dividends. Too many guys try to have a conversation when it's just like this playing out in actions will always work out better than you trying to negotiate it, because girls will never say things a lot of the times, even if it is something they want, because it might make them look bad. Like, how many times have you seen a guy talking about his lackluster sex life and then you find out he never initiates?
Yeah,
probably a fair bit. I remember them. So for a lot of time, instead of talking about the sex life, just start trying to smash more. But she'll reject me. Well, I mean, she's already rejecting you. What's the difference?
Right. You're not getting laid.
At least you know where you stand.
I definitely agree, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that it's definitely communication style. Women, so many new guys have such a hard time realizing that when she's telling you something, she's telling you how she feels.
Yeah.
It is very, very rare that she's going to give you direct, clear information. It might be like, oh my God, I cut myself. Get me a Band-Aid. Those kind of situations are very clear. But so many times, just every day, and this is where I tell people, like, hey, don't get mad at the nature of your wife. Get mad at yourself for not understanding it, because so many guys, like, you see it all the time. Like, where you want to go to dinner? She's like, I don't care. She doesn't. So don't quit asking. Say, hey, I really feel like Mexican, and then she'll let you know if she feels like Mexican.
Or what's the standard one too? Just get in the car. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
I find that's another thing too that works more so in life in general, but relationships too. It's that when you remove choice, people seem to be far better at accepting things that are out of their control than they do of having any control at all, because then they're so worried about making a bad choice.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is make them say no. Like I've said that to guys in the dead bedroom shit. Like make her say no. Don't say, hey, I'm thinking about getting some sexy time with you tomorrow night.
7 p.m.
Right? She's gonna go, oh, I gotta get home. I gotta do laundry. Blah 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 blah. So many times, like and when you really start to figure out how your wife works, it's funny. It's like literally the cheat codes on the Xbox, and I hate saying that because so many guys come in and that's what they want. They're like, I want to press the up down XX triangle buttons.
Oh, did you screw up the Konami code? You boomer.
and but once you figure it out, you're like, oh my God, like she's super predictable. Like, and when I like probably one of the earliest red pill moments I had was when I think, I don't know if it was Kay's book or something like that, but he talks about like, oh, what do you want for dinner? And the first time I figured out, like, my wife would be like, oh, I've got chicken and we're going to have some pasta, blah, blah, blah. And you could look at her and go, I was really thinking beef. I really want beef for dinner tonight. And your wife goes, oh, you know what? That sounds really good. Like, it's a really strange thing. You're like, wow, I can like,
can move mountains
totally
with my mind.
Right. I can totally like, get like some Jedi mind trick shit on her, and so trying to get guys to understand that, like, hey, when your wife asks you for something, she really wants you to decide for her.
Yeah, take on the burden of potential failure.
Right.
I think that's the way I worded it. Yeah, because then if it's a wrong decision, well, it's not my fault. He wanted beef.
Yeah.
It's not my fault the beef is cooked. And it seems so weird to guys. It's like, that's such an inconsequential thing. But again, Archwinger reference, I remember this, where girls judge a task not by its like drudgery, but by its importance. That's why they would rather clean the entire house rather than, potentially pay a bill and miss a payment and have the power go out. I think that was the example he used in there. But you're right. Just by you giving that direction, then if something goes wrong, it's your fault, and it provides the person putting at ease. It's one of those beta behaviors. Remember the Alpha K ones, the beta providing the comfort?
Right. Hey, and you know what? Own it. It becomes a really powerful tool when you're like, yeah, okay, I chose wrong tonight. That was a really shitty restaurant. But you know what? Next time we'll go somewhere different. We've got our favorites, blah, blah, blah. And if you get really...
See, I even ignore that was wrong. I don't even own that. I'm like, that we talk about, that food was great. It wasn't that burnt. They just have a laugh.
Yeah.
What can you do but laugh this shit off, right?
I love. I'm really good at like negging on my wife about that kind of stuff. I'll turn it around and be like, "Wow, babe, next time you really shouldn't be choosing the restaurants because that was really shitty." And she'll be like, "No, you chose it. You chose it." I'm like, no. It's like a little bit more. Next time, I really want you to research a little better, and but maybe we won't let you choose next time. So.
Hey, it's good. It's playful. What do they say? It's like you don't have to game your wife at this age. You should be the game. Yeah, Rolo talks about that one. I don't, because he's like 25 years married himself. I don't know how many years you are, but you got to be somewhere around there. If you met
20.
your girl in college.
No, I met her.
But you know what I mean? Where it's at the point, like you said, I know her. I know what makes her tick. I know what turns her on, and it's just a natural part of your day where you do those things that are attractive. Yeah. Where a lot of guys complain, they're like, I don't want to have to sit here and run the mystery method on my wife for 20 straight years. That's ridiculous. And you're just like, I mean, that's most of the internet now, is that guys think about women in the abstract and you have to explain it with like experience. And then they argue with you because it doesn't fit their made up mental model. Well, I guess you're probably used to that. That was purple pill debate in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a comment, sir, where somebody said something I don't agree with. Justify it, red pillars.
Yep.
Like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Really?
I like going on there every once in a while and stirring the shit. But
dude, they fucking hate me. They banned me. They got me banned from Reddit. Remember my old account? They were like, yeah, fuck that guy. And I think it was because one of the mods, one of their babies was colic. And I mentioned that one of our friends' kids was colic. And it was because the parents had no schedule. And I guess that, like, I called her a bad mother, essentially. And she fucking stalked me for a year, reporting everything I ever put out until she finally banned me and then did a victory lap. It was pretty... I didn't know I had that much of an effect.
Didn't you have some some girl from Red Pill Wives or something like that sending you tit pictures and shit like that?
Oh, dude. There's okay. What the hell was her name? Iris and Oleander. I remember this one, but it wasn't just me. There was a couple guys I was doing YouTube collabs with, and they started talking about how they got these red-pilled wives, and they're sending them tit pics. And I'm like, and he's like mentioning this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I go on and I just type in privately, "Are you talking about this chick?" And they're like, "Yeah." So it was hilarious how she was sitting there as like the trad wife with Tempest and Teacup and Phantom Dream and Atlas and all those old school people.
Yep. Yeah.
It's no different than anybody else. And they're sitting here talking about the evil red pillars and that women aren't like that. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yep. Yeah. Here's my tits, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Bogey was getting that too. That was always the funny thing. We were just names on a page, and every single one of us was essentially having some like groupie at some point sending us nudes, either nudes or death threats. I think that's like you haven't made it until you've gotten one of each.
I've had it a couple times, and it starts out. Oh, I was wondering if I could ask you a couple of questions, since you seem to be, a red pill husband. Oh, can I ask you? And then I usually just like, you know what? No.
Send a link. Here's the link to the wives. Good luck.
Here's the link to the wives. I don't, because the first time I did it, the blue pill in me came out. Like, oh, maybe I can help her. And then quickly after, I was like, no. Yeah, no. I don't need this kind of crazy. Let's move on.
I always found it funny. Like I said, I'm not going to go simping on these ones. It's just one of those things, and it reminds me too that we're different. Because as a guy, I could see girls writing anything online, and I would never ever think of like, hey, you know what? I'd really like to sleep with that one. But an Instagram photo, I'm there. But a girl will just see the text.
Right.
Doesn't even know what you look like. Doesn't
Right.
care.
Right.
All over it. And then guys are wondering like, why does game work? You're like, really? The same reason she's reading a book and getting off. Meanwhile, you're watching the hub. That's good though. See, I love these note swapping. No matter what happens, it's always the same. Even the incel guys. Did you know this? There's like a black pill or like incel places. They have groupies. Guys whose entire identity is set around not having sex have groupies. And it blew my mind when I first saw. They weren't the greatest chicks, but they were chicks.
I get a lot of things in life. I have a lot of, I try to look at a lot of different people and be like, yeah, I get where you're coming from. Like, I don't agree with it, or whatever. I don't agree with your politics. I don't agree with whatever.
Yeah.
But the incel guys are just, they're autistic. Like,
a lot of them are.
Either in reality or at least from a socially standpoint. And, I had it wasn't a very long interaction, but I know Mr. Nice Guy, one guy came on, and that's why I now have the no incel rule. It's like, I
have to fuck, or you cannot be a nice guy. Get out of here.
they can't get out of their own way. It's, like I said, I got a relative, and he's kind of an inspiration. He grew up with a really shitty life.
Mm-hmm.
Non-existent mom. His dad was a gangster, in and out of jail, blah blah blah. And he's got a business now. He's running 7 figures, worked his ass off, didn't go to college, and he's got 30 guys working for him, blah blah blah. And and he did it just because he said, hey, I'm the only one that's going to pull me up. And I read the shit that those guys write, and they don't even see it. They're just,
well, they don't want to. Well, you know what that is? It's narcissism, the male condition. You know how borderline personality is like female condition ramped up to 12, and narcissistic personalities guys turned up to 12. Everybody always thinks narcissism is like a sense of grandiosity, like I'm the greatest man ever, but it's really more so about your internal one-man play, and everybody else around you is an archetype, and then you just have to hold to that narrative structure. Same as like red-pilled mental models. And for them, not getting laid becomes that identity that they make up. And so anything that gets in the way of that identity, their ego automatically shoots it down. And that's why it's always complaining about women are bad. That's narcissistic fuel. And that's why, most likely, if you were getting death threats and hate mail, it was probably right after you refused to acknowledge that incel inner monologue. And at that point, they lash out at you in narcissistic rage. It's weird. I got it off of a couple psychiatrists, but like online and off. And then eventually, once he started seeing it, it was so obvious. And it's easy because there's now incels can get together in a group, like a VLAN, all across the world.
And feed off each other.
And they feed off each other and just reinforces that narrative. When it used to be, I don't know if you remember this, but Jack Ten of Hearts, back when he was having that pissing match with me over irrational confidence or something, he described himself as autistic but learned to be social by A/B testing the human condition. And like that is essentially what those guys could do, even if you're completely socially awkward or clinically socially awkward. Just learning it by the numbers, paint by numbers. Highlights for children, the social edition. Am I dating myself with the highlights, or do kids still get those?
I don't even know. They're in the dentist office still.
Oh, okay. I used to love those as a kid.
It totally makes sense, though. I get what you're saying, but it goes back to what I said earlier. Is like not everybody's worth saving. I don't, don't really care.
They have to want to.
If you want to wallow in self pity and reinforce your narcissistic, worldview, go for it, man. Doesn't affect me. It makes my life, easier.
More poon for me out there. Yeah. Well, it's more than that too. It's a covert contract. I find a lot of guys have that where, this stuff did well for me. So if I can convince you that the red pill is good for you, then, I'll be saving lives. It reinforces that I did the right thing and now I'm a good person. And then they get mad at the guy when the guy doesn't want to take his advice. It's like, who are you really trying to help here? Him or yourself? And that's the other reason you can't really help people. Like even this, the bad people are the ones that keep telling you, I'm here to save lives. And then they start yelling at their audiences. And the good ones treat it like a consultant. You've done consulting. Right. I'm assuming you still do consulting at least a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
Out of 100 times you have to consult and give a business a product or a pitch or a service or whatever, how often do they implement it? Would you say less than 50% of the time?
Oh, I mean, I do technical sales, and I can go in and instantly see oh, here's how we can help you. And I would say 10% of the time that turns into a customer.
Oh, that low. And in a consulting mode, I've as part of that, I've had current customers come in and say, hey, we'd like to give you money because we have this problem. Mm-hmm. And I would say 40%, 30 to 40% of the time. They'll come back better, and say, I guess. They'll come back and say, okay, that's a good idea. And, sometimes I've actually had customers say, no, thanks. And then basically rip me off and go do it on their own. The best part is they do it half-assed and then come back later and like, we don't understand why this isn't working. And you're like, yeah. Oh, I remember you telling stories about this where you all of a sudden you charge you dumb fuck, you should have listened to me premium to it or something like. I remember how you worded it.
Remember when I said this and this part? And they're like, oh yeah. That was kind of critical to it. And there's a reason it was critical to it. So
dude, that's such a red pill metaphor too. It's like you tell the guys, remember that it was Catholic confession. They used to tell you here's my life. That's why it's fucked up here. It's why it's fucked up here. It's fucked up here. And please call me a bundle of sticks or a British cigarette. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. They want confession. And so you're like, okay, so you got to do these things to get out of it. These are the skills you got to work on. Otherwise, this is the situation you can end up in. And then they come back later. Okay, that situation you told me I'd end up in, I ended up in it. So what do I do now? And you're like, well, it's like all the actions could have been taken, but you decided not to. And now you can't pick up the pieces. You're at the consequences part of your decisions.
Right. And it's kind of a funny, this is an aside, but you talk about that, there's always, every once in a while, somebody comes in once a month, once every week or whatever. Somebody comes in and they're like, my wife is fill in the blank. She's a piece of shit. She's a druggie. She's a cheating whore. She's blah, blah, blah. Mm. How do I save my marriage? Right?
I can already picture the mod mails coming right after this.
And you're like, you could save it. I'll give you all the tools. any of the tag guys, any of the mods can give you the tools to where you can save it. But why? And I
tactful.
I don't get why guys get so invested in having shitty things go on in their life. So
It's good. It's comforting, in a weird way. I notice a lot of guys, as long as they know the book, they will read that really shitty novel that has a really shitty ending 100 times because they know the book and it's comfortable, rather than have to write their own book, which maybe has a better ending to it. But the uncertainty
Right.
is the big part. And I'm surprised a lot of guys don't get that. And even when they start to understand, like you give them some of the red pill tools or the No More Mr. Nice Guy tools, and then as soon as things get uncomfortable, they revert back to what they used to do. It's like, dude, you're uncomfortable with this because you've never stood up for yourself before. You've never had a boundary. You've never actually like fucked a plate before. So if anything, you're supposed to be uncomfortable here. That means you're doing something new, and just focus on if it's working or not. And it's a weird thing how you have to tell a guy to get out of his own way. It's like you were saying, because their feelings get in the way. And we're raised like defective women, so I don't know. I feel bad, so I have a feeling I shouldn't be doing this. It's like maybe you should.
Oh yeah.
Feeling good's what got you into this mess, you dullard.
Yeah.
I'm jaded. Oh, back to the consulting thing. That was the point. So as a consultant, I'm assuming you don't get burned out. Same reason I didn't, because they're not paying you to fix their problem. They're paying you to give them the tools that they need to fix their problem. And if they use them or not, that's no skin off of your back. You did your part of the bargain. And that's why I hate the guys who try to red pill everybody and try to save guys who don't want to be saved, because you're basically that consultant actually trying to fix the company that doesn't want to fix it.
I've been in the business I'm in now for probably close to 15 years, and definitely early on, I wanted everybody to have what we sold because it was great, and I knew it was going to fix their problems. Like 100%, you will have better final product by doing it this way. And what I found is you'll have a customer that's maybe he gets it, he uses it, it's okay for him, whatever. But maybe every couple projects or every year or so, you get that one customer who's like really becomes, not just somebody that buys your stuff, but a partner with you. And then you get these really cool synergies. And you're like, wow, like I didn't, I worked on a project, it was a great project for a family run business. And I've been after them for years, like, hey, let's do something together. Let's do this. And it just didn't work out, timing. And then one day he called me up. He's like, come on down. Let's talk about this. We ended up having like a really nice 3-year business relationship where we put a lot of stuff in, a lot of capability in what they were making at the time and all that stuff. And that's what I found I really enjoyed. So, like there's all the stuff that I know I'm right about, and whatever your business is, there's probably a million more customers that could use whatever you're selling than are actually there in front of you. But if you get those few, be it consulting, be it like a partnership of business where you're not, and I hate the term win-win, where people say like, oh, it's a win-win situation, blah blah blah.
Well, why do you hate
it? Because it is something that was designed by massive corporate like negotiators like Walmart to make you feel good that they were fucking you over.
Oh, so it's like MBTI.
Yeah. But you get every once in a while you get those projects where you're like you're building more value together than you would ever build, on your own. And that's really like if you're going to be in consulting, if you're going to be any kind of forward facing in front of customer kind of things, if you want it to be. Now listen, there's guys out there that could probably be excited the rest of their life,
Mm-hmm.
fucking over people making money, and if that's what gets them off, more power to them. But I really like, especially on the consulting side of things, you have to be at a point where you can bring value to it from both sides of the equation. They bring value to you, in that you learn something new, and then you bring value to them.
Yeah.
And you both make,
I mean, maybe it's different from
money.
the States then, because you guys are a much bigger country, but in Canada, it's just the circles are too small. You have a reputation to worry about, and that doesn't work long term, which I find interesting. Because I was, do you remember this certain convention I had to go to in Orlando, Florida, back in like 2018? Do you vaguely remember this one?
Yeah, that was with Anthony
Rolo and this Anthony
yeah.
Johnson, yeah. So I don't know if you know how that all played out, but it's essentially that. He's gone on since then, and that every speaker he's had eventually had like a moment where he tries doing call out stuff, releasing personal information, basically burning bridges, to the point now that his convention went from having like 500 people a thing at $2,000 a ticket to where like a dozen people maybe show up when it's bring your kid free kind of events. He can't get speakers because nobody will work with him anymore. And I find, for the screwing over thing, unless you have a constant feed of new people and there's no reputation management involved, it works great, but afterwards, just not. And I know, bringing it back to sexual relationships, I think it's the same thing. Like when you were talking about, sleeping with girls at work. Well, yeah, if you get the reputation as the sexy, charming guy at work, that's great. If you get the reputation of at work as the guy who just pumps and dumps chicks and they get all pissed off at him, probably not as much.
Right.
Or like UltmateCad would say, if all the wives in the neighborhood know that you're the guy that we can be friends with, then you tend to have more friends. I wonder what he's up to now. Have you talked to him?
No, I loved him too.
Yeah, not your style.
No, I thought it was awesome. I really like the fact that he would come in and really kind of challenge guys on their
flimsy moralities,
their paradigm. Like, I'm married, I can't do that, I can't do this, and he's just like, yeah, why not? Fuck the neighbor chick. Like, it's short life. What do you have to lose? And I think a lot of guys would step back and be like, hey, maybe I'm
he's
not
an asshole, but he's not wrong.
Right. Maybe I'm not going to bang the neighbor chick, but I really get where he's coming from. I back to the convention thing. I thought that was a great idea, and it's a shame that it was executed so poorly, because that's the type of guy that I think if you get enough of those guys in a room, the problem with Reddit is it's free, and you can get a lot of guys talking about a lot of shit, and they, like our ban box is enormous just because there's so many retards that come along. You're like, yeah, this is, the problem with it being free. And I think you could have a lot of really interesting conversations in a room full of guys that have paid money to be there, because people then take that shit seriously.
Oh, that's right. You don't know. I have that now. I literally took the own your shit type model and applied it into a Patreon. And it's funny, you don't even need much of a paywall. For me, the paywall isn't even so much like to get investment. It's just to like temper the amount of people in there. Because if there's too many, it takes up too much time. So I just keep raising the price till we get to a nice even workload that I can manage. But yeah, 178 episodes, 178 own your shit weeklies in there. Every one of them is good. I've only ever had to get rid of 2 guys. And neither one of them was because they were like trolls or shitting up the thread or incels. It's because the one, his problems were like outside of the scope, like major psychological problems. And the other guy was because he used to like go on dates with girls and then sneak into and come in and follow him into the bathroom. He's like, I don't know, 80% of the time it works, but these 20%, it's not working. What do I do? I'm like, I can't advise you on how not to get arrested, dude.
Right? The cops keep showing up. What's going on? Yeah,
not every time, but sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was going, dude, I don't know. I'm not going to take this one on. It's not worth like the $5 a month.
Yeah. Know your customer.
But you're right. It's actually that. And then that's the only trick is, and here's the funny thing. You were talking about funnels before, your top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. The Patreon is the bottom of the funnel. And if I go too red meat or nachos, we call it, with the top of the funnel stuff, attention at any cost, you get a lot of really crappy, uninvested people that end up in the middle of the funnel, which scares off those people you're saying are invested for when they get to the bottom and they actually have stuff they want to work on. Like, so I don't know if you, like, I guess you don't really know the YouTube space, but there's a lot of red pill guys there. I'm probably one of the smaller channels, but it's the least autistic channel. And I take great pride in that. And it's come at the cost of probably, I could probably be 5 times as big as I was now if I just like, whatever, come on in, bring your autism. But it's good in that I can still have conversations with you, with Wine More Please, with Rule Zero Dad, with, S-Curve Much. And all you guys are still showing up realizing, okay, this hasn't turned, you're not just wearing the married red pill that, helped me immeasurably as a skin suit to shill merch,
I
I always love how you start with that exasperated.
I think I was pretty early in the red pill sphere.
Yeah.
And I really hate the reputation that some people have given it. And then some of it's probably somewhat deserved and some of it's just misunderstood. Because I think there's so many guys out there that, like, if you said any of the advice, and they'll say it on the purple pill all the time. Yeah, like 90% of the advice is actually really good advice. But then people get caught up in that tone policing side of it. But it's red pill.
Yeah.
If
anything, I'd like how we lean into the tone policing side of things just to like make sure that doesn't have an effect.
Yeah.
Granted, taking it too far. Like, yeah, the red pill, I agree. You're like, well, they take the autism a little too far. I kind of see where you're going there. But I'm cutting you off.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that, I wish they'd had a book when I was in high school and somebody handed it to me, because it would have made a lot of shit a lot more clear in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then, maybe, there's still going to be guys out there that just are like, they can't choke it down and they're going to reject it. But I think if anything, that's probably the only criticism I have of the community is that, but maybe it goes back to what I was also saying, is that it tends to filter out the wrong kind of people that would never embrace it because for whatever reason. And I got a friend it's funny because, he's a self-proclaimed feminist, like, definitely that West Coast millennial, very liberal leaning, blah, blah, blah. And he'll say shit sometimes. And I'm like,
the fuck?
Yeah, man. But then he'll admit like some like kind of universal truths. Like, I don't know what it is, but like the one day he's going on and on, he's like, but sometimes he's like, you just can't let women make up their own minds. And I was like, yeah, because they want you to lead, and it's definitely very contradictory to the kind of load of shit that he's been served his whole life, that like, hey, like, oh, women are equals and women this and blah, 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 and I have a daughter and I definitely try to teach her that like really there is anything, whatever you want to do in life, you go do it. But there also are roles that people accept, and if you're with a girl who wants to accept that role, then give it to her, give her what she wants. And if that's not the type of girl you want, if you don't want, a whatever kind of girl, it could be both ends of the, like, I don't want a submissive woman, or I don't want a feminist, a hardcore this or whatever, but don't get crazy because you accepted something that you weren't willing to deal with.
That's just like the biggest boundary thing. But I think, yeah, it's a fear of missing out. We can call it whatever. Fear of missing out. You can call it the fear of being alone. It all boils down to fear because you're worried that like you're going to lose some major thing in life if you don't do this stuff. And I know kids are particularly susceptible to it because they don't have the life experience to know like you're never going to see your high school friends again. So fucking relax if they don't like you.
Right. Yeah, I say my oldest that all the time. Yeah. Like, you know how many kids I know from high school? He's like, how many? One.
I was going to say, I think two.
Yeah. I talked to one from high school. Yeah, but I guess more what I'm also saying to that is like I think guys are given a really shitty toolbox, and you know you see it all the time, like especially like on Reddit. Like I love those Ask Reddit like where they're like girls are like, I found out that I have daddy issues and I'm really turned on by it, you know, and guys the other side of it are just like, oh, you treat her as an equal, you treat her as this, you treat her as that, blah blah blah, and they get a girl. Like, you know, my wife is, we're old fashioned, you know. I am the head of the household. I run it that way, and it took me a long time to even accept that was what I was comfortable with, because you're given those tools your whole life. Like, oh, you guys need to be partners. You need to be this. You need to be that. So
I think a lot of guys are afraid of it too because they think of it as a hard power situation, like the authority. You know the line. There's no responsibility without authority, and guys think of it like that, like the way a cop gets to tell you, you know, put your hands above your head and you have to do it. I think they mistake, and this is the part I loved about Red Pill in game, where they mistake that it's a soft power skill. Like they have to opt in to having you. That's why they always say it's like command respect, not demand it. But that's the thing. It's no longer I have a good job, therefore you must respect me as the head earner of the household because you're not allowed to work because it's the 1910 or 1914 or whatever. It's They can earn as much money as they need. In fact, like 40% of women, I think it is, earning more money than guys now. So, and Athol K back in 2014 in Praxeology of the Dominant Male said the same thing. Look, male dominant marriages or relationships tend to be the ones that last the longest and be the happiest. So we're going to adopt that model. And it used to be economic input was what you established dominance with, but now that girls are earning their own money and they don't need no man, well then just abandon that as the method. And it's where we lean into like more alpha, less beta, right? Be more attractive and desirable. I call it luxury branding for the modern man, where a girl won't give a shit about, you know, you because you're a great hard worker, but if you're just as fancy as a Louis Vuitton purse or Louis Vuitton shoes that she can show off to her friends, it still works. But a lot of guys don't like that either because they're not used to being the prize. They're used to, like you said, light yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And I think a lot of it is just people trying to come to terms with the way they were raised was wrong, or at least no longer useful, and to change that. And people don't want to do that because then it means like, that means I've been a failure my whole life. And it's like, not necessarily.
Yeah, again, wrong tools.
Yeah, wrong tools.
Wrong tools.
You know, are you mad because you had to use your screwdriver as a hammer? Not really. Well, why is this any different? Oh, it's because it's my feelings and my ego, and we're equals. It's like, you're not equals. If you guys get into a fight, who do you think's winning? Unless you got a really tough bitch. But even then, I think you can get a couple cheap shots in. I'm just joking around there. Don't fight your wives. That's not a real strategy. YouTube, don't monetize this thing, please. I forgot. I got to use a lot of euphemisms. It's where I talk about struggle hugging or
struggle hugging. I love that.
The British cigarettes. Oh yeah. Well, it's just so hard. For the longest time, you couldn't even say red pill without getting like stuff demonetized and removed from the thing. So I had to like de-jargonize everything, which was actually a blessing in disguise. Because like you've been good at that. I noticed you're explaining a lot of the stuff in plain, matter-of-fact language, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're talking about this, or you're talking about this. I think that's a good way to resonate with others is by ditching the jargon using plain language, because it's like you said, red pill's probably got the worst branding ever. We're just like incels and assholes, and we're the bad guy anytime you're having a rom-com on TV now. So
it's great and it's bad all at once, because like I said, there's a lot to be said about self-filtering, and the right kind of guy needs to come along and embrace it. We're not going to save everybody. We shouldn't save everybody. But again, it's bad because, especially, I will say that in our modern era, it is, whether you want to call it wokeness or overblown tone policing, like everything is about tone policing. Like,
Ugh.
oh yeah, like I know you said it that way, and I kind of understand really what you're saying, but the way you said it kind of negates it. Like, no,
It always feels like a weird power play to me too. Like the other person's trying to like assert a dominance in a weird kind of victimization way. I don't know if that's intentional or even if I'm looking at it right, but am I off my rocker on this?
No, I think you're. It's definitely just another version of ad hominem that people are trying to like really challenge your character and challenge instead of the truth of the argument that you're making, and that's what it comes down to. Is like I can't address the truth that you're saying. Either I won't, I can't, I don't know how to. So instead, I'm going to attack your character, and that's what tone policing is. That's what that wokeness is. All of that shit is just about like, oh, how do we control the narrative because we don't want to talk about the truth of the matter. If you start getting into like really strange areas of the world, like swimmers that have dicks but they call themselves women.
Oh yeah, that one. I always laugh.
This
stuff is so absurd. It's hilarious.
It's a great example of tone policing run amok. Is like you can't even say like, hey, that's not a girl.
Yeah, just observe. Well, I YouTube, well, they won't let me say that, but I'll say this. I do enjoy right now how what do they call them? Trans exclusionary radical feminists, like the feminists that have been shitting on men for the last 40 years. Yeah, TERFs.
That's awesome.
And the trans community are now having like a civil war. And then both sides are like, men need to step up and help us solve it. And like, no, give me the popcorn, sir.
Yeah.
Enjoy your culture war.
And that's the great thing about tone policing run amok is eventually it will run amok against itself. Mm-hmm. And the same arguments that they use to police you ultimately backfire, and they'll be used on themselves. And it's one of the reasons why I think I wrote some of the first rules that were on the sidebar for Married Red Pill, and probably one of my biggest.
Which ones?
It's probably one of my biggest ones is the tone policing one, because I think a lot of guys, their big problem in terms of how they address stuff is they get so much shit and bullshit fed to them about the way they say stuff, the way they
adopt the language because it's how their life is now. That's how they're framed. Right. Everything is framed by that.
And you're looking at them, you're going like, hey, you're missing the whole picture here. You're so worried about the way you say something in a way that's non-offensive or not whatever. The truth is not in front of you. And so many guys come to the Married Red Pill. Some in Mr. Nice Guy, it's not as trafficked. And they want to talk about the ways to say things in a certain way. And it's like, dude, you're not even seeing the problem here. Like,
no, you're just dancing in circles, trying not to say the thing, infer the thing, hint at the thing. It's like these guys need the 2x4 of justice, man. If you don't spell it out, they're gonna lose you. They're gonna fill it up with whatever emotional bullshit they came in with and jump the shark. God knows, wasn't that what happened with Athol K's forum back in the day? Yeah. Were you that old that you remember that?
A little bit. I don't really remember where I came across.
I guess a couple people found me from that. They were looking like, what happened to Athol K's forums? And then they were seeing my breakdowns of what happened. Like the gist of it was Athol he was like the marriage counselor after the male action plan. He and his wife got everything going great again. And now he's like, oh, great. Now that everything's great with her, she's like, I want to have a bigger part of this. And he's like, yeah, come on into the business because you're great now. We're not like the old problems we had. And then his wife came in. She brought a couple other girls in. And then it went from, like you said, that guy space that was, don't worry about the tone, to worry about the content. And then they started to tone police it. And then they started to like control it. And then guys just had a mass exodus. So like, look, I'm not going to come here and get berated by 3 chicks on the internet.
Right.
When I came here to stop getting berated by my fucking wife.
Right.
And he ended up getting a heart attack. And the whole thing kind of blew up. And it was essentially that. Because he did that. He red-pilled his marriage. He solved that problem. His wife was great. He was great. And then he didn't realize that just because she knows all this great red pill stuff I did, she's still not just a girl. See those ones too. A lot of guys doing that. They start bringing their wives in on this shit, and then have to start changing their tones. I see it online all the time. You wouldn't believe how many brands here are bitching about, women ain't shit. And then you can tell when they get into a relationship, because then the tone turns into like, I got to save the West and men need to step up. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. I shouldn't be able to tell your relationship status by listening to you preach your values. Stuff makes me laugh.
Yeah.
It's too bad you're missing this. I guess you're old for the drama. I don't know. I'm getting kind of old for it myself, but it's funny. It's funny to talk about.
I think maybe 10 years ago, it could have been a really interesting space to do. And like I said, I remember seeing when you were doing that convention, that, what was it, 21andMe or something like that?
Yeah, 21andMe, the 21 Studios convention.
Yeah, I
we
thought
call
it
it now
really,
the convention we shall not talk about.
convention. Okay, so that it shall really remain nameless.
Shall remain unnamed. Yeah.
And it could have been something that, I thought brought a lot of value to guys that wanted it. There's always going to be guys out there that want to be successful, and there's other guys that just want to stay. We've all got that friend who's like, I just want to graduate high school and get a job at the local picket, factory, mill, store, blah, 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 punch a clock. Fine. Punch clocks. Not for
mills
me.
are all closed in Canada, man. NAFTA killed that. No more softwood lumber mills.
Yeah. Well, you guys got
good luck with that.
So
I guess.
that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And you guys lost all the manufacturing in around the 80s and 90s too, didn't you?
Yeah. And it changed. It's actually kind of a good comment, because, you have to be adaptable. So, as a man, as a worker or whatever, you just got to be ready for whatever comes along. If the end of the world's coming and you're a traditional conservative, you need to figure out how you're going to ride out the end of the world. If you're a crazy screaming liberal and the end of the world's coming, then, again, it's not any different. You might look at it from a different perspective, but just, figure out how you're.
But do you find there's even, I know I'm going to, like, the liberal guys are easy to make fun of, but the traditional conservatives, they get me because they're not traditional or conservative. I always joke they take their values from like 1950s cigarette ads, those aspirational models of the wife and the white picket fence. It's almost like they want that life because it sounds like it's better. Maybe some guys were kids back then, so it was better for them. Everything's better when you're a kid. For some guys, they never even had that life or knew about that life, but just the ads look good. And I find nobody ever attaches values to it. They always pick like those superficial markers. It's probably why you end up having so many arguments with the politics people on Reddit, because you ever notice they're not talking about the issue. They're talking about the aesthetics of the issue.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to be Don Draper, right?
Yeah. Except for what was Don Draper. Every time somebody called him Walt Whitman, he turned into a bubbling mess.
Right.
And he only got to sleep with like 40-year-old soccer moms, It wasn't hot models. Well, I guess there was one.
Right.
Well, I always joke that you should be going after John Hamm, because if you call John Hamm Walt Whitman, he's going to look at you like you're a fucking idiot. It's like, dude, that's a movie. Are you stupid? Or a TV show? Right. But you said that Don Draper, he cries. I don't know. It seemed like, at the time, it seemed like a good metaphor. I don't know anymore.
I think to your point, though, like what people are doing is they're living in a world that's detached from reality. And
oh God, yeah.
If people want to be, like you said, they want to live in that 1950s commercial, they're not accepting what the world is. And it is what it is. You're not gonna, one man's not gonna change it, other than a very few people in the world. So you need
but
to.
You can adapt to it. And you can thrive easily. Look, I'm thriving.
Right, but that's the great part about it, is that the pie is unlimited. It's infinite. That's what so many people don't realize. They think if you take your piece, that's one less piece that I'm going to get. Like, no, it's an infinite pie. Just go out and grab it. That's what you have to do. You have to.
Like, you have to grab it now with inflation. If you don't grab it, you're losing your pie slowly but surely. Thanks, Trudeau.
Right. Thanks, Fed. printing all that
Yeah.
money, all that COVID
Well,
money.
to be fair, Rule Zero Dad put it great that you guys printed 2/3 of the money you've ever had in the last 2 years, and you're still the reserve currency. So that means just we really suck at it. We can't even inflate properly. You guys are still better than us. Yeah, what are you gonna do? It's too bad. If our inflation was really bad, exporting would have been just lucrative as shit. But I don't know. We're Canadians. Nobody ever said we were smart, right?
I love
Heck, we
Canada,
took
man.
Quebec. How smart could we be?
I love going in Canada. I really I enjoy it. I fucking hate your immigration when you go there.
Dude, it's so much worse now. So much worse.
I have a Nexus card, so I'm supposed to be able to get in early, easy. And the one time I went, I held up my card, and the guy in Ottawa says, "Oh, do you come here often?" You know, and I'm like, "I'm holding up a Nexus card. What the fuck do you think?" And of course,
That's not
he's
a bad
like,
Canadian accent, by the way.
and he's like, "Oh, you got to go to immigration." God damn it.
Oh.
He's like, "Why
How do you
are
make
over
that little
here?"
modicum of power go straight to your head? You don't
Right?
talk to me with that tone, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for you because you're doing a lot of flying still now that COVID's over, right? A lot of business stuff. Have you had to come into Canada a bit?
I just started back traveling probably the last 3 months, and I really got to figure out a way to kind of change the paradigm, because customers have changed too. You know, they don't want to see you unless it's important. The handshake and back patting kind of stuff has gone away. I was in Canada, a year ago, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like I had to get like insta tested before I even came in, and I actually got rejected right at the border. Came in, she's like, "Oh, do you have your PCR test?" I was like, "No, that's the online thing says you just have to have your vaccine card." She's like, "No, that's not what it says." So like I didn't even make it across the bridge. Like I turned around. She's like, just hang a U-turn and go back to the U.S.
Oh yeah, dude. There's so many stories of that. It's that they weren't like filtered down to the organizations on the ground. There was so much lag on that. Plus, with a lot of the layoffs, like anybody who didn't want to get vaccinated was essentially, they weren't fired. They were giving indefinite unpaid leave.
Oh.
How great is that? Because you can't fire people for medical choices, but you can just tell them to go home and not pay them.
I was literally on the phone with a Canadian border guard trying to figure out how to get there, because I had a pretty important piece of equipment that I needed to get assessed and shipped. And I'm the only one in the company at the time that could get there. So I'm on the phone with them, and I'm like, "All right, I got to look at this piece of equipment. What do I need to get into Canada?" Well, you get your vaccine and this and that and a letter of recommendation. And I'm like, "Okay, I can get all those things. And then what?" He's like, "Well, then you show up at the border and we decide." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he's like, we decide if everything's okay and you have a negative PCR, blah blah blah, then we might let you in." I'm like, that just sounds really
Oh, dude,
shady.
they didn't even get into the quarantine wellness facility aspect of it. They were setting up hotels. It had very like ominous undertones to it. You can't talk to friends and family while you're there. You can't tell people where you're going. Quebec was the worst, but I was just like,
right. And I live in New York, so I've been to Canada like for 10 minutes. There's literally been times where I went in for 10 minutes, did something, came back out, and they're like, "Oh, well, where are you going to quarantine when you get here?" I'm like, "Quarantine when I get there?" Well, like, yeah, if you test negative or if you test positive while you're here, you'll have to quarantine for somewhere. I'm like, I'm really probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm just going to get in my car and drive back across the border. Like, why would I want to quarantine?
Yeah, I'm just going to go home.
Yeah, so I was going into Canada pretty early on in that process, and then when I finally did get in, it was like fucking wasteland. It was like strange.
Downtown Toronto, it's the craziest thing. You know how every like flagship boutique store is there? They don't need to make money. They're closing shop. Like the Gap left, Lemon left, Mountain Equipment Co. Like all the big stores just up and left. They're like, "No, we're not dealing with this." Yeah. And they were so worried that they started boarding things up, thinking there was going to be riots, and there was no riots. But then nobody was buying anything, and now everybody's closed shop. Now it can't even, like, I started growing my hair because, like, at that point I had 5 different barbers that I had learned about in the city over the years. All of them shut up. All of them closed down. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm growing a mullet. I got to find a new guy now.
I had like I got to be friends with my barber, and I have to call him up and be like, hey, can you cut me?
Oh,
my
you did that
boys?
too? The black market,
yeah,
the black market
and
barbers. Yeah.
he'd be like, yeah, come in the back door. I'll leave it unlocked. And you know, he like hung up like paper on all his windows and stuff like that, so you couldn't see if he was in there, and it was crazy shit.
Yeah, been that. Our guy would make house calls. He eventually moved back to Italy to be with his family because he was like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, you're going back to Italy? He's like, yeah, where the restrictions are a little bit better. I'm like, wow, that's how far we've come, huh?
Yep.
But then don't get me started. At the point where I almost went political there for a bit because of the trucker convoy. I don't know. I've been blue collar most of my life, so that stuff kind of like hit home for me. I don't know. Hopefully this stuff's all going to be gone soon enough. Better
Yeah,
be.
like I have been traveling, and you wouldn't know that the world was still in a pandemic based on what I saw with traveling.
Which is
People are
good.
done.
Everywhere else?
They don't give. Yeah, people don't give a fuck. It's just not. Yeah, you know.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Although I'm like entertainment district downtown Toronto, it's like soy capital of Canada, so I see a lot of masked people still. And we went to a TEDx talk, and all those people were still big on it. And my girl has to travel for work, like Air Canada and via rail, and all of our interprovincial transport stuff. They all follow federal mandates still. So it's weird if you're part of like the, what do they call them, the PMC class, the project managerial classes. They tend to
Right.
see this stuff every day, but you're right. As soon as you start doing a job where you have to talk to somebody, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got plenty of customers that are like, you know, I'll say to them like, hey, do you mind if do I need to wear a mask? They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. So
Oh, good. Thank God.
yeah, it's
That extra little dance. Hey, you guys,
yeah,
what safety precautions you have in place? Oh, good. They have to
Right.
figure which one of you guys are the paranoid Karen that's going to rat you out to the RCMP.
Are you guys still wearing masks up there everywhere?
You have to if you're on a plane, on an Air Canada flight. You have to if I go on like a streetcar here, like public transit, I have to. And the TED Talk for some reason. But other than that, no.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
mandated anymore. People still do, which is always kind of weird.
When I first started flying, it was mandated, but now there's nothing, and hardly anybody is wearing masks on airplanes anymore. So
Yeah, I don't know. Canada, I think for a lot of people, they're just, like you said, those risk-averse people. They don't like rocking the boat. All that stuff we've been talking about the last 2 hours. I think a lot of those people got too comfortable with it, and now it's their little Linus's safety blanket. Because there's some people that don't even wear them properly. There's people that wear masks now when they go like Costco or whatever, but they got their nose hanging out, and I'm like, why? Yeah. At this point, why? I get it to meet the mandate things, but there's no mandates no more.
I've been in chemical industry, and you know, and personal safety and all that. It's just been kind of part of my job my whole career, and
right.
And I see some of the way, like the one kid was on the plane with me, had an N95 on, and clearly the sides were wide open, and I had to nudge him, and I'd be like, hey, you know that N95 doesn't do shit when you're breathing in through the sides like that. You gotta pinch down the nose part there, bud. And he was like, oh, okay. So, but again, it's people want to live in their
fictional worlds, right?
Their fictional world, and you know, maybe they'll die happy and never know the difference. But
you know what it is? I really think it is. It's like it's a comfortable misery. People hate the idea of being in control of their lives because then that means they might make the wrong decision. But I'm like, I've made a bunch of wrong decisions, and I'm sure you've made a bunch of wrong decisions. But the ability to use the skill sets that you've had over the years to like get past those, I think is more than worth any potential like bad decisions I've made. In fact, most of my best decisions have been started from bad decisions.
I think
I don't know about you.
I think the book was Thinking Fast, Thinking Slow, or one of those books. But
yeah.
it really comes down to I try to live my life. I try to make good decisions with the best data I have available. Sometimes you look back at those and you go, all right, you had bad data. And as long as you can look back at things and say, you know, I made the best decision I could, that's really all you can hope for. Because sometimes you're really going to have shitty data, just shitty data. And if you know, you can't beat yourself up over that. Now you can be like, hey, like I raw dogged a hooker from Haiti, and that's a bad decision with bad data. But
Well, I think the data was pretty good on that one. I think you just chose to ignore those, but I get you.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah,
Sometimes there's something that happens that, like, COVID came out of nowhere. So if you started a business, a brick and mortar business just before lockdowns,
yeah.
But there's nothing you could do about that. So no matter what bad happens, it's like there was nothing you were going to do to stop that.
Yeah. So
why stress over something that you couldn't have had control over?
That's it.
But then, and I guess we'll end it because we're a little over time here. But yeah, that's frame, right? Try not to stress. Oh yeah, so this is usually the part where I ask the guy, like, how do guys get a hold of you? What else do you guys do? But I don't think you want any of these guys to talk to you. Leave me the fuck alone. I know. Do you have any closing thoughts then?
Like I said, I do this kind of as my own learning lesson in life. And I definitely, I'm always willing to help a guy out that's genuinely interested in changing his perspective in life. So, you know, I have guys that send me DMs at Reddit and stuff like that. So if somebody ever wanted to ask me a question or whatever, I will say a lot of times I put guys off and say, you know, I think this is a great opportunity to crowd share and answer your questions. Because, you know, I offer like one perspective, but, you know, if you could stand on the shoulders of 20 guys instead of just one guy, why wouldn't you do that?
Got to put that vulnerability out there then. Say that something didn't go right. A lot of guys won't do that.
Yeah, that's all right. So, but yeah, if you reach out to me on Reddit or something like that, I'll be happy to even send you in the right direction if I can't help you. So
just don't give them any autism, guys. And if you do, don't tell them I sent you. I can't live with that. Shameful.
I'll ignore you anyways. I'll send the retards on their way.
Nice. All right. So my trick on ending this is I don't